to save you money. The Tax Relief Line's professionals have successfully negotiated thousands of cases, reducing and sometimes even eliminating the tax debt for their clients. It's very easy to get started. Simply call the number on your screen right now. You don't have to live in fear anymore. The call and the consultation are free.
Are you on Medicaid and in need of bladder control and incontinence products? Then stay tuned for a free offer from Active Style. At Active Style, we understand your needs and offer convenient home delivery of incontinence products for children and adults. And they may be available at no cost to you if you're Medicaid eligible. Our products have a super absorbent core that locks away wetness to keep you dry.
If you're on Medicaid, call now for your free sample.
Broadcasting from Now Media Network's headquarters in Houston, this is Purple Politics, hosted by political expert and commentator Alina Gonzalez-Dockery. Join us to discuss the most important issues affecting our nation with fresh, balanced, and objective discussion on the first bilingual media network in the United States. Purple Politics starts right now.
10 days. 10 days until Election Day. Thank you so much for coming back and tuning in to another episode of Purple Politics. I am Alina Gonzalez-Dockery, your hostess, and we are 10 days out. I know it feels like an infinity that we have been dealing with presidential campaigns and such, and then we've had that exciting turnaround where Biden was basically shown the door and they handpicked Kamala and put her in. We are 10 days out. And let's talk about what are the polls showing. Well, it looks like Trump is taking a very narrow lead over Harris in closing weeks of the race. Donald Trump has taken a narrow lead over Harris in the latest Wall Street Journal poll, with 47% of voters supporting him compared to 45% for Harris. This marks a shift from August, when Harris held a 2-point lead. However, both leads fall within that margin of error, which is 3%, meaning the race remains highly competitive. Voter perceptions of both candidates have shifted over the campaign. Harris's unfavorable ratings have increased, with 53% viewing her negatively, compared to 45% who view her favorably. Trump's approval, on the other hand, has improved, with 52% now approving of his past performance as president, while 48% disapprove. You know, people are like, what's happening? Oh my God, why is Harris this? Okay, first of all, 6 months before she was plugged and played, you know, the DNC, Democratic Party, decided to do a plug and play, take out Biden, put in Kamala. She had the historically worst approval ratings of any VP since they were doing this. And then you have Trump, who has a distinctive edge in areas like economic policy, where more voters view his agenda favorably by a 10-point margin. That's huge. While Harris's economic plan faces a 4-point unfavorable gap. However, Harris retains a slight lead in areas like middle-class support and a significant advantage in handling the abortion-related issues, which, as I stated last week, that is such a red herring. And I'm sorry for those that are like, what? What are you saying? You're anti-abortion. No, I'm not. I'm actually pro-choice, because I truly believe that we have the medical means to provide safe procedures, and it should be limited up to a certain weeks. Europe does it. Every time we have a beef, we're like, well, look at Europe. Well, Europe does. They limit it at 15 weeks in England. And then medically necessary, as well as rape and incest, be in there. But again, that abortion issue could have been wiped away in the first year that Biden was sworn in as president, he had a majority in the House. He had a majority thanks to Kamala Harris's tie-breaking vote. He could have codified vote then. They never did. They could have done it back in Obama's time. They didn't. And honestly, the United States Supreme Court gave a gift to the Democratic Party of abortion, which is really a rallying cry for the especially much younger voters, the 18 to 30-year-olds, because they're now thinking that their bodies are not their own and they don't have autonomy. And ironically, the same party that's supposed to be fighting for the women's body and rights and autonomy is also the same party that wants to destroy Title IX, take away our ability to have scholarships, have something that was only enacted a little over 50 years ago that gave women equal footing for college admissions, their own sporting events. You have to think of all of this. You have to take into consideration, just like Trump, you have to take into consideration, do I think that economically he probably has a much better plan and has the ability to pull in the experts? Absolutely. Are there some things that he's just totally out in left field? Does he tend to maybe, I don't want to say idolize, but glorify certain strong leaders like Putin instead of saying he's a real smart guy, he's great, we get along? There are issues. We have problems with both candidates. But despite all of this, the race is likely to be decided by voter turnout, with different challenges facing both campaigns. Trump faces difficulty in motivating younger male voters who lean his way, while Harris must galvanize Black voters, a key demographic for her campaign. With several battleground states allowing election day voter registration, the ultimate outcome remains uncertain. Both campaigns are racing to turn out their respective bases in what is shaping up to be a very close election. And another advantage that Trump has is that he does have a base that adores him. Whether you agree with it or not, whether you're still scratching your head at times like, how? He is super charismatic. He is actually very funny. I will tell you that are there times where I am screaming at a TV when I'm watching a rally or watching like his speech at the Republican National Convention? Absolutely. But he has that charisma. And then when he does things like go to McDonald's and serving fries and cooking the fries and really interacting with the people, that's his magic. And that's where Kamala is lacking. Kamala doesn't have a base that is beholden to her. It's just those people that are so anti-Trump, anything is Trump. If God forbid something had happened to Trump, I don't know what they would have done with her campaign. Because how are you going to fight against a JD Vance or a Nikki Haley or whoever it is that could have been other than Trump? But we are dealing with Trump. And with the 2024 presidential House and Senate elections, we got to discuss the ratings and analysis. So as we are closing in on this election, Republicans are currently favored in the battle for the Senate, while the race for the House is extremely tight, mirroring the close presidential contest. Inside Elections recently adjusted 8 House ratings, 6 of which shifted toward Democrats, bringing the House race into near equilibrium. With 65 competitive districts, the Republicans currently have an advantage in 212 districts, while Democrats have the edge in 208, leaving 15 races as a toss-up. Now, wouldn't it be interesting if it was almost equal? Because, wow, think about it, people. Maybe then that they would have to collaborate. They would actually have to discuss these issues. They would have to come to a consensus. I don't know. I think that would be a good thing. And to gain control of the House, Democrats need to win 10 of the 15 toss-up races, while Republicans need to just secure 6. But we've already seen that the Republicans, even with a very small majority, they have yet to learn the lessons from the Democratic Party. The Democrats, they may have infighting, they may have discussions and debates and stuff, but the one thing is when that gal, when their Speaker of the House like whether it's Pelosi or others, bangs that gavel saying it's time to vote, they step in lockstep. They flow with there's no autonomy. You are part of the collective. It is literally that collective mindset. Whereas the Republicans, as we've seen in the past 2 years, with the ouster of McCarthy, with the threats for Speaker Johnson, I mean, the infighting with themselves, the fact that they'll like, oh, we don't like this bill, we're going to go ahead and vote with the Democrats, even though it's actually a perfectly good bill, because they have that power struggle within. So realistically, in my perfect world, we would have a house that, regardless of the R, regardless of the D, regardless if you're MAGA, Freedom Caucus, Progressive, the Squad, whatever, you would look at what is in the very best interest of the citizens of the United States in which you represent, and let's use common sense and collaborate. It is possible. Let's see if we get there. And Donald Trump and Kamala Harris are hitting the Sun Belt. With just 10 days left until Election Day, both Donald Trump and Kamala are pushing hard to secure votes in what promises to be one of the closest elections in recent history. Both candidates are touring the Sun Belt, focusing their efforts on key battleground states where even small shifts in support could tip the scales. Trump's campaign, with Ohio Senator J.D. Vance as his running mate, is zeroing in on economic issues, immigration, and energy policies. Trump is pushing for tariffs on Chinese imports to boost domestic manufacturing, a stance popular among working class voters, particularly in swing states. However, critics argue that such tariffs may lead to higher consumer prices, which could hurt voters Trump is trying to win over. Although he really does have the thumb on the pulse of the working class. Today, Trump is in Arizona, a critical state for his campaign. Arizona's 11 electoral votes are crucial to his chances, as losing the state, as he did narrowly in 2020, would make his path to the White House much more difficult. Meanwhile, Vance campaigned in Michigan, another swing state, where he's focused on issues tied to the auto industry. Harris, on the other hand, is highlighting progressive issues like healthcare access, workers' rights, and climate change. She is leveraging support from unions and civil rights organizations, promising to pass legislation like Equality Act. Her running mate, Tim Walz, is helping to reinforce this message, particularly in the Midwest, when labor and environmental policies resonate with voters. So Harris is crisscrossing Georgia, and which is also a pivotal state. They're crisscrossing in Michigan. You got Philadelphia. Governor Shapiro is really out trying to gain the vote. But you know what? Amazingly, is Trump is actually holding very well in Philadelphia. Harris is losing some of that edge that she had when she was the fresh start, which again makes sense because you had Biden. You had that debacle, that complete disastrous debate. And then all of a sudden it's like, okay, out literally with the old man, in with this person. But the issues that she had in the administration are now catching up to her again. So it's not surprising. But one thing is for sure, we're going to be right back and we're going to continue to break down this election. See you soon.
If you turned 65 recently like me, it's important you find a Medicare Advantage plan that gives you the coverage you're looking for. But finding one can be difficult. The best thing I did, and I suggest you do the same, is call a licensed insurance agent and let them walk you through your Medicare Advantage plan options. There are so many benefits you have access to, so make the call now and let the representatives explain everything to you. Our licensed insurance agents can offer you a variety of Medicare Advantage plans. Plus, the call is free, the information is free, and there's no obligation to enroll. We're here to make it easy for you to select a Medicare Advantage plan that may work for your needs. Finding a Medicare Advantage plan can be easy if you do what I did. Make a quick call right now to learn more. Thank you. Call 800-749-7781. That's 800-749-7781. Call now.
If you're on supplemental oxygen, heavy and awkward tanks can be a burden. Now you can leave home and leave the tanks behind with Inogen, portable oxygen therapy that moves with you.
With my Inogen, now I'm able to do the things that I've always loved. I just press the button here, and there's my oxygen.
Inogen systems are so small and light, you're free to leave the house without the hassles of an oxygen tank.
I could play golf again. I could go grocery shopping. I'm free again.
With the Inogen, I can handle my own oxygen. I can carry my own oxygen. I go anywhere with this. Look how small it is.
And right now, you can try an Inogen portable oxygen system for 30 days risk-free. Call us right now. If you qualify, we'll send you an Inogen system to use for 30 days risk-free. Your insurance may even cover your new Inogen system.
If you're on oxygen, you need to be using an Inogen.
Call 800-367-1753. That's 800-367-1753.
Are you nearly maxed out on your credit cards? It doesn't matter if you're using your credit cards for fun or to survive. At the end of the month, your statements come in, and you can either pay them or you can't. If you can't, late fees and interest rates get tacked on. And now you're struggling just to make the minimum payment due. Do you feel trapped? Am I talking to you? Good, because I personally researched some companies that can help you. They may be able to reduce your credit card balances by 50% and stop the late fees. If you qualify, please call our special debt hotline number right now for a complimentary free 5-minute consultation. Deal with your credit card problem now before it gets much worse and put more money back in your pocket. Trust me, I've been there too. Call right now.
Call 855-993-2096 right now. That's 855-993-2096.
Well, so much for the rhetoric of extremism. Harris calling Trump a fascist, and at the CNN town hall hosted by Cooper Anderson. And let's talk about the biggest 6 takeaways from her CNN town hall. In her recent CNN town hall, Kamala Harris took an assertive approach, calling Donald Trump a fascist, making a sharp escalation in her rhetoric. Truth be told, everything was, it's Trump, it's Trump, it's Trump. I really wish she would start focusing more on the policies and probably differentiate herself from this current administration. But I digress. The comment came in response to a question about Trump's political ideology, and she agreed with Anderson Cooper's framing of Trump as a fascist. Harris used this opportunity to highlight the danger she sees in a potential second Trump presidency, like turning the military against their own American people, which in fact it was Biden just recently giving the green light to the Pentagon, saying that the military for the very first time in history has been given orders by a sitting president saying that they can turn arms against the US. Again, hypocrisy, sorry. But again, I digress. Reflecting a broader Democratic concern with the impact on democratic institutions, Trump, and I do agree with this, yes, we have seen plenty of lawfare. Yes, we have seen a weaponization of the Department of Justice. Will that cease under Trump, or is Trump willing to use, basically give back what he got? And that is a true concern. Throughout the event, Harris maintained a consistent strategy of pivoting almost every question back to her critiques of Trump. When asked about a range of policy issues, including the Supreme Court, taxes, and immigration, Harris repeatedly framed her responses in contrast to Trump's position. Her goal was to unify Democrats. It wasn't even just contrasting Trump. It was just saying Trump was, that was a joke. Trump, like the immigration wall. Oh, what a joke that was. But yet she's committed to building the immigration wall. Her goal is to unify the Democrats, including those who might be unsure of her stances, by focusing on Trump's perceived threats to democracy, which, by the way, these same threats to democracy, he's a fascist, he's Hitler. And now she is throwing that back out there, could justifiably be argued, could be justly argued as what precipitated the two assassination attempts and one that was thwarted. Just saying. We got to tone down this rhetoric, people. We are the United States of America. That's a side note on mine. Throughout the event, Harris maintained a consistent strategy of pivoting. Her goal, though, is to unify and attract the independent. She is trying to appease or appeal to the disenfranchised, never Trumpers or never Trump againers that are Republicans. But when faced with direct questions from voters, Harris often responded with long, indirect answers, weaving Trump's past behavior into the conversation. One example was a question about anti-Semitism on college campuses, where Harris took the opportunity to link the issue to Trump's controversial relationships with dictators and his response to the COVID-19 pandemic. Nothing to do with the question. And honestly, Harris knows better. And I get it. She's playing politics. She's dodging. My gosh, she must have been the best dodgeball player out there for those Gen X baby boomers. We know what that game was. Because the reality is she's not answering. And whenever she feels uncomfortable with a question or she wants to deflect, that is when she starts getting into her word salad. And honestly, when she is on point, she is very good, and she is on point. I'm going to stop myself right there, because honestly, I think that when she, her best position and her best way of coming about is when she's on attack mode during the debate. She baited and continued to bait Trump successfully, and that was why she came out looking a little bit better in that debate. She did the same thing in the 2019 Democratic primary debates when she baited Joe Biden and called him out a racist. She has these little epic jabs and punches, but she's never in for the long haul. And the thing is that with Harris, the one thing she needs to start doing is being able to effectively respond to the questions that are asked of her that does not just deal with Trump arrangement, because that is what it's becoming. Yes, differentiate yourself, policy for policy. Don't go into the mud. Rise above that. You say you're above it, go above it. You don't have to go low to hit hard, to hit up. For God's sakes, the bar is pretty low. It doesn't take much to rise above it. One of Harris's key moments came early in the town hall when she agreed that Trump is a fascist, setting a combative tone for the rest of the event. Unlike Trump, who has avoided mainstream media scrutiny, Harris has embraced interviews with diverse outlets. No, that's not true. Okay, I'm sorry. Harris is finally doing the media run, and let's face it, the media, the mainstream media, the big companies are all churning out what they can, and she is primarily going on very friendly, with the exception of the Fox News with Brett Baer, friendly stations. But I will give it up to Anderson Cooper. He was trying to keep her on point. She deflected. He was trying to keep, and he kept on correcting her, and she still would not answer the question. But you know what? Hey, the more she does this, the better she'll get. We'll see. But Trump is going out there. He does do town halls. He's not going back on CNN, but he had done a CNN town hall, let's remember, when he was first running against Biden. He went out on a lot of these media spins. He was on, he went, Fox News, CNN. He was doing all of the circuits when he was running up against Biden. And then he still continued to do some, like the Univision town hall and such, but it's just not really a huge thing. And he's like going, I'm not going on anymore after the ABC debates and stuff like that. Lastly, the town hall underscored Harris' ongoing struggle to introduce herself to the broader electorate. With a compressed timeline after taking over the nomination for President Biden, she still faces the challenge of conveying the personal story and policy vision. Besides saying that I grew up in a middle-class family. Great. Good for you. What are your policies? What are you doing? How about answer the question? What was one mistake in your political career that you learned from and you would do differently today? She couldn't even answer that because she admitted, oh, I'm sure I made many mistakes. But I always make sure that I'm really to speed on the issues and the policies and the legislation. That is really important. So it would be a mistake not to do that. So are you saying that was a mistake that you hadn't been doing it for 3.5+ years as vice president? Or is that something that was, again, a deflection saying, oh, look, I'm really up on things? It just harkens back to that time where, like, she was at an interview when she was VP, she was put in charge of the border. The media was the one who titled her the border czar. And when they said, have you been down to the border? She was like, we have been down the border. And her, I mean, we're talking a friendly news media interview. And they were like, but you personally have not been to the border. And she's like, well, I haven't been to Europe either. It's like, these are the things. Get out there, talk to the people, try to figure out how to build a connection. Because I will say one thing, that is what Trump has an advantage to Harris. Trump knows how to connect to the people. Trump knows how not only to play up and be showman to his base, which I wish he would stop. He kind of migrate a little bit more and focus on the independent and those displaced, dissatisfied Republicans. Also utilize the tools that you have of getting the right people out to campaign on your behalf and not be so, oh, I got a showman here, because when he's not in front of the big MAGA crowds, he's actually really good about even on one-on-one being with the people. Bill Clinton was excellent at that. That was his mastery. I'm telling you right now, that would be someone like Trump in a way. I don't know if maybe he learned. He used to be very supportive of Bill. That's what he is reminding me of. And that's the thing. That is the huge difference between Trump and Harris. Trump has a loyal fan base. He has a following. He has a group that, he has a block of voters that are staunchly supportive of him, allied with him. Harris does not have this. And she needs to start building that trust, even within her own party. And if whoever's going to win this presidency has to win by winning over the independents. And that is, neither one of them seems to be really edging out the other with the independents. But one thing is for sure, this election is seeing the change from dependent on the traditional media like television, sources to get the vote out. Both candidates are out there on podcasts. I mean, it's amazing how podcasts have really, ballooned, if you will, in popularity, especially during the pandemic years. The shutdown, they really exploded. They're, they gaining in popularity, but also because so many millennial and Gen Z use alternative news sources, podcasts, YouTube, things like that. So just because you're not showing up on Fox or CNN or MSNBC doesn't mean they're not out there. And both candidates have increasingly turned to podcasts to reach specific voter demographics. Traditional media outlets like NPR, the New York Times, PBS have struggled to secure interviews with the candidates. Instead, Harris and Trump have opted for appearances on popular podcasts like Call Her Daddy and Flagrant. And also Joe Rogan. Trump is appearing on, is being interviewed by Joe Rogan. And this is a shift. As you'll see, we're actually shifting from the old way of doing campaigns to this new methods, like really embracing the differences of with podcasts, going away from traditional media, social media, using the influencers. I mean, now it's like TikTok and other Instagram, other avenues. And one of the other things too is the podcasting contracts allow for a larger, broad-based audience. I mean, we're looking at Joe Rogan has like nearly 30 million subscribers. Kamala Harris is going to be on Brene Brown's podcast, and she has 17 million. I mean, this is a huge demographic, but mostly a diverse demographic. We're going to take a quick commercial break and we're going to continue going through all things elections. Tune right back.
If you turned 65 recently like me, it's important you find a Medicare Advantage plan that gives you the coverage you're looking for. But finding one can be difficult. The best thing I did, and I suggest you do the same, is call a licensed insurance agent and let them walk you through your Medicare Advantage plan options. There are so many benefits you have access to, so make the call now and let the representatives explain everything to you. Our licensed insurance agent can offer you a variety of Medicare Advantage plans. Plus, the call is free, the information is free, and there's no obligation to enroll. We're here to make it easy for you to select a Medicare Advantage plan that may work for your needs. Finding a Medicare Advantage plan can be easy if you do what I did. Make a quick call right now to learn more. Thank you. Call 800-749-7781. That's 800-749-7781. Call now.
Are you on Medicaid and in need of bladder control and incontinence products? Then stay tuned for a free offer from Active Style. At Active Style, we understand your needs and offer convenient home delivery of incontinence products for children and adults. And they may be available at no cost to you if you're Medicaid eligible. Our products have a super absorbent core that locks away wetness to keep you dry.
If you're on Medicaid, call now for your free sample.
How would you like to go on a 5-star vacation for just $99? We're talking about the quality of a Westgate resort for $99. Not for one night, but for 3 fantastic nights at one of their luxurious destinations across the United States. And you'll even get a free $100 Visa gift card just for making a reservation. We've got some of the choicest destinations that you'll love in the United States that you can choose from for just $99 for a 3-night stay. Take your family, take a special loved one, but get away. Go on vacation with Westgate Resorts. Call now to make a reservation for just $99 and you get a free $100 Visa gift card. Call Westgate right now and book your vacation. Here's the number.
Call 877-930-3491. That's 877-930-3491. Again, 877-930-3491.
With all the focus on Trump versus Harris, we have neglected to be talking about the third party candidate that is still on the ballot on most states, and that is Jill Stein of the Green Party. She won't stop no matter who asks her. Jill Stein's perennial presidential candidate as the Green Party nominee continues to face criticism for her decision to run in the 2024 election, despite pleas from family and political strategists. Many fear her candidacy will siphon critical votes from Vice President Kamala Harris, potentially aiding Donald Trump. Even her own family has asked her to reconsider running, but Stein remains committed to her campaign, brushing off the backlash as part of a propaganda campaign against her. Strategists from both the Democratic and Republican parties are paying close attention to Stein's candidacy. Democrats are especially concerned as Stein's presence on the ballot in swing states could draw enough voters away from Harris to impact the outcome. A notable part of her platform focuses on criticizing Harris for her administration's foreign policy, particularly regarding U.S. involvement in Gaza and Lebanon. Democrats, fearing a repeat of 2016, are launching their first ever negative ad campaign against a third-party candidate, warning voters that Stein could again help Trump win. Stein dismisses the spoiler label often attached to her, arguing that her voters wouldn't support Harris anyway, which is probably very true. However, her campaign is resonating with key voter groups, including Arab Americans and young progressives, disillusioned with the Democratic Party's stance on Israel. While her primary focus is on amplifying these voices, her candidacy could tip the scales in key battleground states like Michigan, where she has gained significant support from voters angry with Harris and Biden's policies as it relates to the Gaza war. Stein's candidacy, while not aiming for a direct path to the White House, seems designed to highlight frustrations within the Democratic Party and its leadership. Her running mate, Buck Ware, has made controversial remarks criticizing Harris and other Democratic figures, which aligns with Stein's overall message of holding Democrats accountable. Despite the criticism from both parties, Stein remains firm in her belief that she is advocating for a necessary alternative to the two-party system. This has been echoed by Robert F. Kennedy Jr. as well, and others, even myself. I have been probably on that soapbox for longer than I wish to admit, that we really do need a third-party system, because this two-party system has basically monopolized and stranglehold us into basically to lockstep. And both parties have basically, coming from different angles, are the same means: maintain power and control. So I applaud for her for doing this. And the controversy surrounding Stein's campaign is compounded by her past associations, including attending a dinner in 2015 in Russia with Vladimir Putin. Although she denied any intentional involvement with Russia's interference in U.S. elections, her critics point to these connections as further reason to oppose her candidacy. Despite this, Stein continues to attract supporters who share her skepticism of mainstream politics and her call for peace. And despite efforts by friends and political leaders to dissuade her from running, Stein shows no signs of backing down. While the Green Party has struggled to gain widespread electoral success, Stein's impact on closely contested election remains a point of concern for Democrats, especially given the razor-thin margins in states like Michigan in 2016. Stein is not just the only thing that is kind of edging people away from the Democratic ticket for president. Though inflation has cooled, Americans are still seething over prices. So despite inflation cooling off and the economy showing strong gains of growth, many Americans are still deeply frustrated by higher prices. While inflation rates have significantly dropped from the peak in mid-2022, prices themselves remain elevated compared to pre-pandemic levels. This leaves people struggling to accept the new reality of higher costs. Even though wages have generally increased and spending remains high, they are not keeping up with the price changes. This frustration is particularly palpable for those who have had to make lifestyle adjustments. Many are forced to make changes in their spending habits, such as cutting back on services or opting for cheaper alternatives, as seen with households like Marilyn Hongs, who decided to trim their shrubs themselves due to increased landscaping costs. Though inflation has slowed, the lasting effects on consumer spending habits remain evident. Going to the grocery store, eggs are frickin' $6.95. If you can get them on sale for $3.95, you feel like you just won the lottery. That is an issue. Inflation, again, does not take into account gas prices and grocery prices. And when you go to the grocery store, you feel it. When a gallon of milk is over $5, where just 3 years ago it was $1.99, when you could buy a dozen eggs for less than $2, and now you're like, oh, I'll get the generic, store brand, and those are now $3.89 on sale. That is hurting the bottom line. That is hurting the people's pockets, because despite that, also rents have gone up. We're looking at increasing of taxes because the tax brackets are going to go back to they were pre the tax reforms of Trump's administration. So the polling is reflecting this dissatisfaction, with a significant portion of Americans still feeling the strain of higher costs. A Wall Street Journal survey found that around 75% of respondents felt that their household income had not kept up with rising prices. Despite the improved economic indicators, the perception of ongoing financial strain persists, especially with regards to big ticket items like housing and cars, further exacerbating the unease. Vice President Kamala Harris faces a challenging political environment as Americans' continued frustration with inflation puts pressure on her administration. Voters are giving former President Donald Trump higher marks on handling the economy, and both candidates are putting forward plans aimed at addressing the cost of living concerns. Harris has proposed measures like down payment assistance for home buyers, while Trump suggests ending taxes on Social Security benefits and overtime pay. Now, what's interesting is it's like, so you're starting to see like a bit of a nostalgia, despite the Herculean efforts of Harris and her campaign trying to paint that Trump is the current administrator, like he is the incumbent and she's the new guy trying to fight in there, which is not the case, or her arguing, well, yes, I mean, I may have been VP for 3.5 years, but Trump has been around for 10 years. It doesn't make sense. The bottom line is you got to look at where are the people most hurting. The down payment assistance of $25,000 for new home buyers, first-time home buyers, that may be a little bit of a help, but you still have high mortgage rates. You have high insurance rates. I mean, those are things that have to be dealt with. Also, it's interesting. He wants to end the taxes on Social Security. Think about that. People who are receiving Social Security retirement are paying taxes when this income has already been taxed. See, remember, Social Security is always like sold as, oh, this is a retirement benefit. It really isn't. It's a supplement because it's so low compared to if you took that same 6.2% of your pay, and that's what it is, 6.2% of your pay, take that and put it in an investment, put it away, say it gets locked up into an IRA, gets into some type of annuity or something, you would have more monthly income than what Social Security offers. And then they tax it. The overtime pay, we'll see if that will hold water. Now, the good news is that both of them want to repeal taxes on tips. So we do have some consensus between the two parties. The pandemic and the geopolitical events like the Russian invasion of Ukraine contribute significantly to the surge in prices, especially in 2022 when inflation peaked. Although inflation has come down from its highest levels, the lingering effects on people's financial outlook remain strong. Economists note that while inflation is currently under control, the psychological scars from this period may influence consumer behavior for years to come. And let's look at Trump's Trump's prep for a potential second term. So Trump's allies are preparing for his potential second term by establishing a transition team, but they are taking an unconventional approach. They have drawn a strict line by excluding anyone associated with the Heritage Foundation's Project 2025, a conservative policy initiative that Trump's team views as a political liability. He has gone on many times denouncing it, saying he hasn't even read it, he has nothing to do with it, but Harris likes to try to still hang that sign around his neck. So anybody associated with the Heritage Foundation's Project 2025 is automatically excluded from the transition team or any potential part of his second term administration. Even if their names are mentioned in a footnote, they are out. And AFPI, now a key player in Trump's transition efforts, has become a central hub for policy development and staffing, led by Linda McMahon, former head of the Small Business Administration. AFPI has been building policy proposals and potential staff lists for a year. It is poised to play a crucial role in sharpening the personnel and policies of a possible second Trump administration. Trump's transition team faces additional challenges as it has not yet signed agreements with the Biden administration that would grant it access to government resources, office space, and cybersecurity protections. Without these agreements, the team remains vulnerable to cyber attacks, a concern given previous breaches of his campaign. However, the bottom line is However, the confusion and disorganization may persist with several groups and advisors vying for influence. Trump's inner circle often bypasses the official transition team, suggesting key appointments directly to him. Many prospective staffers are uncertain about which group to align with as multiple entities prepare for a potential Trump presidency. One thing is for sure, though, this transition team is looking at who is aligned and allied with Trump. If you are not lockstep 100% with Trump, you are not considered. We're going to take a quick break and let's talk things. What's happening with Elon Musk and potential voter regulation issues? Tune right back in.
Investing in real estate doesn't have to be a pipe dream. But how do you find, analyze, renovate, finance investment properties without getting ripped off? My name's Andrew Glisson. In 4 short years, me and my team built a portfolio of 200 rental properties in multiple cities as a hobby while working full-time. We took all of that experience and built a mentorship program called the Victory Strategy to unlock every step of investing in real estate. If that sounds like the opportunity you've been waiting for, look us up at thevictorystrategy.com.
If you're on supplemental oxygen, heavy and awkward tanks can be a burden. Now you can leave home and leave tanks behind with Inogen, portable oxygen therapy that moves with you.
With my Inogen, now I'm able to do the things that I've always loved. I just press the button here and there's my oxygen.
Inogen systems are so small and light, you're free to leave the house without the hassles of an oxygen tank.
I could play golf again. I could go grocery shopping. I'm free again.
With the Inogen, I can handle my own oxygen. I can carry my own oxygen. I go anywhere with this. Look how small it is.
And right now, you can try an Inogen portable oxygen system for 30 days risk-free. Call us right now. If you qualify, we'll send you an Inogen system to use for 30 days risk-free. Your insurance may even cover your new Inogen system.
If you're on oxygen, you need to be using an Inogen.
Call 800-367-1753. That's 800-367-1753.
Do you have a car sitting around you want to get rid of? Well, here's a great idea. Donate your car now to help local veterans in your area. Yes, just make one fast call to the Veteran Car Donation Program. Within a few days, we'll come and remove your car for free. You can donate any car in any condition. We'll use our vast network to sell it. The proceeds raised go to help local veterans and their families. And you get a tax deduction. And all you need to do is make this free call. Clean your yard up, get rid of an old car, and help the vets. We make it easy. Make this free call now. Book your fast and easy pickup. Call the Veteran Car Donation Program now.
So speaking of like transition team and Trump's team, one thing is for sure, he has a significant ally in Elon Musk. Elon Musk is plotting his final moves to help Trump, push Trump, drag him over the finish line so he can win. So Elon has intensified his efforts to support Donald Trump's 2024 presidential campaign, particularly as the election approaches. Reports indicate that Musk met with media mogul Robert Murdoch in New York City for a private dinner after leaving his makeshift war room in Pittsburgh, where his political team is based. This gathering has raised speculation about the duo's intentions, as both Musk and Murdoch have significant influence in right-wing politics. Murdoch, through his company News Corporation, controls major media outlets such as the New York Post, the Wall Street Journal, Fox News, all of which have been staunch supporters of Trump. Despite the public support, Murdoch has been known to criticize Trump in private. The meeting between Musk and Murdoch suggests a possible discussion of strategy to further Trump's chances in the election. Musk has financially supported Trump and other Republican candidates through his America PAC, spending millions on donations. He has even proposed a controversial scheme of giving $1 million to a swing state voter each day until Election Day, drawing scrutiny from the Justice Department. Musk's involvement in the campaign is seen as a significant push to boost Trump's chances in key battleground states. Additionally, Musk has used his social media platform X, formerly known as Twitter, to suppress negative coverage of Trump and his running mate, J.D. Vance. He has also been involved in spreading what some would say misinformation and conspiracy theories, manipulating narratives to target different voter demographics, which, by the way, I can tell you, the other side does too. I've been getting so much things on Twitter feed or X feed from both sides. But of course, because it's Elon and Elon is controversial, because Elon has already had, well, he already received the disdain and probably some of the retribution of the Biden administration from when he first was buying Twitter, this maybe be propelling it as well. But he is pointing out when he focuses on a group, he's focused on the Arab Americans, he's focusing on the Jewish voters, he's focusing on the Gen Zers, and especially in states like Michigan and Pennsylvania. The meeting between Musk and Murdoch raises concerns about potential coordination on disinformation tactics or media strategies, with both men wielding vast financial resources and influence over right-leaning media. Now, here's the interesting thing. So they're going to say it's disinformation, misinformation, which I'm sorry, but I've never heard so much being like that's the battle cry of this Biden-Harris administration. Because remember, during COVID, if someone said, I don't believe that the vaccine is good, you were found to be a misinformation. We're having so much censorship. And who is deciding whether it's misinformation or not? Because a lot of those people crying, you're lying and you're doing misinformation, in fact, has now been proven to be true. So how about this? Rather than saying you're sharing misinformation, he's sharing his opinion. He is stating an opinion. He is stating such. Now, if he's saying, no, this is absolute fact and law and rule, then fact check him. But it's his opinion. Just like I have an opinion, this whole show's an opinion, just like, my dog probably has an opinion at this point. But as election day nears, the extent that Elon Musk is pulling and collaborating with mega big hitters remains unclear. But their combined influence, Musk and Murdoch's influence in media and politics, makes their involvement a critical factor in these last 10 days of the 2024 race. And speaking of that $1 million voter lottery, Justice Department is cautioning Elon Musk's PAC. See, so Elon's America PAC is under scrutiny from the Justice Department over its $1 million cash giveaways to swing state voters. The department sent a warning suggesting that these payments might violate federal laws prohibiting payment for voter registration or voting. Musk's PAC, supporting Donald Trump's 2024 campaign with specifically focus on getting out the vote, getting people registered, has been offering the chance to win $1 million to voters in Pennsylvania and other key states in exchange for signing a petition supporting free speech and gun rights. Now, this isn't a voter registration. This isn't support for Donald Trump. It's for those issues. The PAC claims its initiative is lawful and defends the cash awards as a way to increase awareness of constitutional rights. However, the Justice Department, and let's face it, I wouldn't want to mess with the Justice Department, I'm an attorney, pointed out that federal law restricts payments to encourage voter registration or participation. Despite the caution, the PAC has already awarded several million-dollar prizes and plans to continue the daily lotteries until Election Day, targeting both new and already registered voters. Historically, election sweepstakes like Elon Musk are not entirely new. In 1982, Hollywood promoter Edward Shaw ran a similar contest in California, offering prizes to people who mailed in proof of voting. However, Shaw faced warnings from the Justice Department as his lottery was deemed in violation of federal law, though it did not significantly boost voter turnout. Although prosecutions for such voter-related giveaways are rare, they do happen. For instance, in the 1970s, a Chicago vote fraud case resulted in the conviction of individuals who paid voters to register in exchange for money, a clear violation of federal law. The court upheld the convictions, clarifying that the law aims to prevent financial incentives for voting or registration, though it allows for other civic efforts to increase turnout. In the current case, Muspak believes the media attention surrounding the legal warning is helping his cause, stating that it remains confident in the legality of the prize initiative. As the campaign continues, legal experts are watching closely to see if the Justice Department will take further action against the PAC's controversial voter lotteries. And let's face it, probably one of the last things that the Department of Justice should do is go after Elon Musk. Forget the fact that he has already a bank of attorneys ready and willing to, defend him. But it's just the look, because every time the Department of Justice brings something, whether it's against Trump, whether it's against someone else, it tends to help Trump. It has significantly helped Trump. I mean, the reality is that. I mean, even like now, why isn't anybody calling? So if he's saying, okay, if you just sign this petition to help, maintain our Second Amendment rights and our rights to free speech or what have you, but that's a violation, then why is, if, a random individual can win a dinner with a candidate or a star or something like that that's in support of that candidate, where's the difference? I can definitely distinguish the Chicago voter fraud case versus this one. But again, it's like with Special Counsel Smith releasing, more of the allegations. These are not facts, mind you. The allegations, his probable cause statements against Trump, the Washington, D.C. Jan 6 election interference case that he's doing there. Why isn't anybody crying going, this is, the timing is suspect. Let's face it, it is completely suspect. They're like, we're going to release it. We're going to go ahead and we're going to waive that confidentiality that we were stating we had, because it was clearly so that people look at it going, oh, Trump is a bad guy. Look what he did, which doesn't move the needle with anybody. It really doesn't. All of these indictments, the Georgia cases that is blowing up right now, you got the appellate courts, hammering the attorney general for that civil lawsuit that never in the history of New York has ever been used against two sophisticated parties who had a positive outcome. That is complete BS. I'm calling it. It was BS. That was political motivation. When you have attorney generals that their sole campaign promise is, we will go after President Trump, that is a problem. That is the lawfare. That is the weaponization of a system to go after this individual. So, okay, yes, Elon has a lot of money and he's going to have a lot of legal counsel. But on top of that, the look will be extremely bad. And also, the Department of Justice has to be realizing, or at least I hope someone at that bureaucratic agency, because that is what the Department of Justice is. Technically speaking, they are supposed to be part of the judicial branch, not involved. That's why justice is blind. We're not supposed to be part of the political agenda. Hopefully they're probably going, you know what, this isn't going to look good for us. And if Trump wins, there may be backlash, whether there is or not. And I don't want to start that whole rumor mill. Oh, he's going to be tyrannical. He's going to do this. Talk to anybody who came from a communist country. See how easy it was for them to disrupt it, and see what the difference between those countries, whether they had government, they had constitutions or what have you, versus what we have. And I was actually talking to my producer about this, and there's a general fear that with this president, this election is so important because our democracy is dependent on it. Yes, it is an extremely important election because the way our country's governance is at issue. But whether our democracy is, I have faith in the United States. I have faith in the people of this country, because the reality is that the vast majority of us, 70% of us, want common sense governance. We are basically saying, you are my neighbor. We have a differing opinion. It's okay. But one thing is for sure, we want our country to continue forward. We want to give a great life for our children. We want to make sure our children's future are secure and that they have the tools that are necessary to be able to succeed and do better than us. And what we need is a government for the people, by the people, and of the people. I am Alina Gonzalez-Dockery. Thank you so much for joining me for another evening of Purple Politics. And countdown is now less than 10 days, and I will see you next week.
This has been a Now Media Networks feature presentation. All rights reserved.
Investing in real estate doesn't have to be a pipe dream. But how do you find, analyze, renovate, finance investment properties without getting ripped off? My name's Andrew Glisson. In 4 short years, me and my team built a portfolio of 200 rental properties in multiple cities as a hobby while working full-time. We took all of that